and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. We are currently in what is going to be the baby's nursery, which you've seen a little sneak peek of how it looks, which is very bare right now because we haven't done any of the decorating yet. We are doing a bunch of DIY stuff soon, so the walls will be decorated more soon, and then eventually there will be like an official nursery room tour. But for now it's pretty plain, so my little setup right now is really plain. A lot of beigey colors. So I apologize if the background's just very boring, but I mean, that doesn't really matter right now. In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about my birth plan for baby number 2. Overall with London, my birth was pretty normal as it could be for an emergency induction, I suppose. It wasn't the quickest, and obviously there was the induction, so it wasn't like natural. I didn't go on my own. I had to have my waters broken by the doctor. My waters didn't break on their own. Stuff like that, which, I mean, that's what was needed to get her here and have her be safe, and just for everything to be okay, which everything was perfectly fine. Me and her are both healthy, and there were no problems from her birth. But with that being said, I still do wish to go into labor on my own. I want my waters to break on their own, which I believe the percentage of people whose water actually breaks on their own isn't very high. I don't know the exact number. I think it is probably like around 20%, maybe less, maybe more, but I don't think so. But I still would like for my water to break on its own, just so that I have more control over my birth, I guess. Just a disclaimer beforehand, I obviously know that anything can happen. You never know. My induction with London was very sudden. I didn't expect it. I went in for my 39-week appointment with my doctor's office, and all of a sudden she was measuring small. She had never measured small before. Can you say hi? She had always measured right on time, and then all of a sudden, all of a sudden she measured small. A couple weeks smaller, so they sent me for an emergency ultrasound, which was, I believe, 1 or 2 days later I went to the ultrasound, and during the ultrasound they saw that I was she was measuring a couple weeks behind. I believe she was measuring as small as 34 weeks. In some areas when I was 39 weeks. And like I said, she had never measured small before. And I went every week. I was measured every week, and every week it was normal until that 39th week. This is what filming with a toddler is like, I'm sorry. That Nix, she's under the crib. So I wasn't at all expecting her to measure small. I wasn't expecting to have to go and get a last minute ultrasound. And at the ultrasound, like I said, she measured up to 5 weeks behind. And she was measuring around 4 pounds, I believe. Which the ultrasound machines, I know, it's a shoe. That's Sissy's. The ultrasound machines aren't completely accurate. They can be up to 2 pounds off either way. So just because it was saying she was 4 pounds doesn't mean she really was 4 pounds, which obviously she wasn't. She came out 6 pounds, 10 ounces, which isn't like big, and it's like a little under average, I would say. Average is 7 to 8 pounds, I believe. But she wasn't overly small. There was no NICU stay, no problems, anything like that. She was still healthy. She was just a smaller baby. She definitely wasn't 4 pounds or anything like that, though. You're crazy today. They didn't know that. All they saw on the ultrasound was that she was randomly really small, so there were worries that the placenta could have stopped working and she wasn't getting her nutrients anymore, which meant that she needed to be born. So I was sent for an emergency induction right then and there. I had to go from the ultrasound straight to the hospital, straight to labor and delivery to begin the induction. So anything can happen when it comes to birth. I know that. Like, you can write out this plan and it's not always 100% going to go according to plan, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have wishes or a plan or anything like that. It is okay to want specific things for your body, for your family, for your baby, and in the moment, if it's just not possible, then you adjust. But it is nice to have a good mindset. How about you don't do that before you break that? It's good to have a good mindset going in and just have your wishes laid out on the table so that everyone knows and you know what it is that you want. You've done your research and just everything like that. So even though there's always a chance that anything can change and it won't always go according to plan, it's still nice to have a plan set in place. So with all of that being said, I just wanted to talk about a couple of the wishes that I have for this birth. With London's birth, pretty much all that I had in mind was... You don't have to yell at Nix. You're being really loud. The only like wishes that I had with London in my mind, she is never this crazy when I'm filming. I knew that I wanted to avoid a C-section at all costs. I knew that I wasn't opposed to the epidural, but I didn't want to rush to get it either. It was kind of a, I want to see how I feel in the moment. So I may ask for it, I may not, I'm not sure yet. I knew that I wanted delayed cord clamping and I wanted immediate skin to skin, which thankfully were already the hospital's like policies, like they just did it anyways. The hospital that I gave birth at was amazing with a lot of their like updates and like their new policies. Like hospitals nowadays are changing more to where they're centering more towards skin to skin and bonding immediately. Most places call it like the golden hour, where the first hour after birth they leave baby on the mom's chest. Sometimes you can switch to dad, I believe, but usually the first hour after baby is born they just leave the baby to be with mom as long as everyone's healthy, and it helps regulate the baby's internal temperature and heart rate and all that stuff, and it's really good for your bonding and just everyone's health. Before, like, this is before they weigh, they measure, or do anything. And the hospital that I gave birth at said that they usually waited a bit before cutting the cord anyways. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but they didn't just do it right away. And I also wanted Christopher to be the one to cut the cord, which he did. That's usually like pretty common for your partner, your spouse, your support person to cut the cord if possible. He did get to cut the cord like I wanted. That's pretty much the only like wishes that I had for London's birth. I obviously just wanted a healthy baby and for me to be okay and nothing to go wrong. Nobody ever wants anything to go wrong, obviously. Now, for this birth, I'm not that different. I'm pretty like laid back, I would say. I'm not like, obviously I'm not like, do whatever you want to do to me. I literally don't care at all. Like, there are things that I want to avoid if at all possible. Most people, not everyone, okay, I've seen people that aren't like this, but most people would prefer to go into labor on their own. I didn't get to experience that with London. I always say that I have a feeling that if I hadn't been induced with her, she probably would have waited a while longer to decide to come. She was born 5 days early, so I was 39 weeks and 2 days when she was born. And honestly, if I hadn't been induced that day, I feel like if I had gone until she decided to come, it probably would have been overdue. It still would have been nice to go into labor on my own, but I didn't. So I'm still hoping that I get to this time for multiple different reasons. Like, just most people want to experience that. They want to experience their waters breaking on their own and just their bodies doing what they're supposed to do. Something that I love about our circumstances, if I were to go into labor on my own, our hospital that I'm delivering at this time is literally less than 5 minutes away from our house, which is great. It is not the same hospital I gave birth to London at because we have moved. The hospital that I gave birth to London at is close to 30 minutes away. And at the time when London was born, it was about 15 minutes away from the house, which isn't terrible at all. Like, some people have like 45 minutes to an hour and even more of a commute to and from the hospital, which is crazy. That would be like so like scary, I guess, when you're in the middle of laboring and you're like, am I gonna make it to the hospital? I don't really have to like necessarily worry about that because the hospital is so close to us, which is, like I said, that's just awesome to me. It's like a huge weight off your shoulders that I'm so close to the hospital. If I ever just randomly went into labor at home or anything like that, like, we could get there fast, they could get to us fast. So I do like how close the hospital is to us. Going along with I want to go into labor on my own, I want to be home as long as possible. So if I were to go, like, start having contractions and it's looking like it's the start of labor, maybe my water even breaks, I want to stay home and labor at home as long as possible. I don't want to give birth at home, but I don't want to be stuck in the hospital forever because it's really hard on our circumstances. So I want to be able to like chill at home, be relaxed. The hospital's only 5 minutes away. We'll get there in time, it'll be fine. I can like take a bath to relax. I can like do my hair, make sure my bags are packed, make sure the dogs are taken care of. Like, I just want it to be like on my own time, and I want to have more control over what's going on. The hospital that I'm giving birth at used to have labor tubs, but I've been told that they no longer have them. And soaking in a bath while you're in labor is actually really good about opening your muscles up and easing the pain and stuff like that. So I would love to be able to like soak in the bath some. They say the more upright you are, the easier and quicker your birth will go. Like, I want to be able to walk around and sit in the bath and just like take my time as much as possible. Like, I wouldn't mind like getting to the hospital and them just being like, oh, you're like 7 centimeters, okay, we're gonna admit you, you know? Like, that's kind of what I would want. I want to still have time to have the option of an epidural, but I don't want to go to the hospital and then be like, oh, you're like 3 centimeters, like, let's admit you, and then I'm stuck for however long it takes me to get all the way to 10 centimeters. And it depends on different hospitals' policies on when they'll admit you. Sometimes they'll just be like, we're not going to admit you yet, but walk around the hospital some and see if you progress anymore. Like, it just depends on the hospital. But one of my preferences is just laboring at home as long as possible, but I would have to go into labor on my own for that to happen, obviously. Like with London, I was induced, and when I went in for my induction, I was only at a 1. So I had to go from 1 all the way to 10, stuck in the hospital. I haven't really been numbering these well, but the next point is kind of the same with London. I like to hold off on the epidural as long as I can take. I like to be mobile. I don't want to just be stuck on my back because that can actually slow down labor and make it harder. I want to be able to walk and bounce and rock and just freely do as I want without my whole body being like practically numb and stuck to the bed, because once you get the epidural and your legs are numb, they don't really let you get up. Like, most of them don't let you get up at all. Depending on the type of epidural, I think there are epidurals that will allow you to still move around, but I'm not 100% sure. But I like to wait as long as possible so that I'm mobile as long as possible. With London, I made it to 6 centimeters, and there was still a while to go from 6 to 10. In our case, it took me a couple more hours to get all the way there, so I'm glad I got the epidural when I did. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten any rest, and it would have been really miserable with how much longer I was in labor before she was born. But if my birth were to happen to go a lot faster, I might just go without the epidural altogether. But it just depends. Like, if I'm stuck at like 5-6 centimeters and I'm miserable for hours, I'm gonna get the epidural. But if it's like, well, you're like 8 centimeters, you have time, but do you want to? And it just depends on how fast I labor and progress. Sometimes you can be stuck at like an 8 for hours, and sometimes you can go from a 6 to a 10 in like 30 minutes. It just depends on your body. I want to film and capture as much as I can for you guys and for ourselves. The hospital that I'm delivering at, I've been told different things. I've been told that you can film as much as you want except for the actual birth. Then you can only do pictures. But then I've also been told that you can film during the birth, you just can't film down there, you know? Like, you can film like up where your family is, where your head is, where you're not showing the doctors and the gross stuff and what's going on. So we shall see with that. I do want to have like the live birth, like that moment on camera. So we shall see. I want as many pictures as possible. I want to have more to remember of the day. With London, I had the pictures, but the video that my family was videoing, they ended it at like the wrong time, and it was just all messed up, and I don't have the birth vlog, which I really wish I did. So I definitely want to have a vlog and footage of the whole experience. I still want the immediate skin to skin if possible. As far as I know, this hospital does the whole golden hour thing too. Most hospitals do now, as well as most hospitals are doing away with having nurseries, and usually they will only take babies for testing. Back in the day, they used to keep the babies in the nursery like all the time, really, and they would only take the baby to the mom to eat, which is crazy. But most hospitals are changing it where they don't really have nurseries anymore unless needed. Definitely want the immediate skin to skin and want that time together. I still want the delayed cord clamping. I still want Christopher to be able to cut the cord. Just basic stuff like that. And my last point, hopefully I can even get through this before the camera dies, because it's gonna. My last point, which is out there kind of, a lot of people are gonna have different opinions on this, and that's okay, but this is my family, this is my body, this is my experience, this is my birth, you know? So I want to be as comfortable and stress-free as possible, and that means having my husband there. Obviously, I want my husband to be there for the birth, but because of how far away from our family we are, there is no way of knowing if at the drop of a hat anyone's gonna be here to take care of London. So if it's just me and Christopher and I go into labor and it goes really fast, they can't make that 9-hour drive here. So therefore, I need London to be able to stay with us if it comes down to that. Y'all know that I've talked about it before, that I struggle a lot with leaving London anywhere. I still have never left her with anyone, not even Christopher. Not because I don't trust him, I just haven't had the need to. I never go anywhere by myself where she can't come, so I've never had to leave her with Christopher, and I've definitely never had to leave her with anyone else because I struggle a lot with that. I can't leave her with strangers. I'm not gonna hire a babysitter to watch my kid for however many days I'm in the hospital. She's not gonna be used to that. I'm not gonna be used to that. I'm not gonna be comfortable with that. So as long as everything goes smoothly, the hospital says that she can be there, which is a huge weight off of my shoulders. Sorry guys. I had to take a quick break because the battery died, and I'm not totally sure where I left off, so it was about London being with us at the hospital. And like I said, not everyone will agree with this. and that's okay. I know my child, I know my family. She's still gonna be young, so it's not like it's gonna traumatize her. She's not even gonna know what's going on. No nicks. So I'm not worried about that. Obviously, we wouldn't have her running around getting in the doctor's way or anything like that. Our plan with having her with us would be like Christopher would wear the baby carrier with her in it, and like she can have like toys and snacks to keep her occupied. That way, like, she'll be out of the way and content, and she'll be safe. But Christopher will also be like hands-free, and he'll still be able to be present and active in the birth, if you know what I mean. Like, his hands are gonna be free to like take pictures, cut the cord, and see the baby and stuff like that, and like still be there for me. Our family is 9 hours away, so it's unlikely that they'll be able to make it in time for the birth. They can't just like drop their own lives to come stay with us for weeks at a time, because labor can be so unexpected. You never know when it's gonna happen. Once you hit about 38 weeks, it's kind of like any time could be go time. Usually doctors will let you go up to about 42 weeks pregnant. Most will let you go over 42. So that's at least, I'm so sorry I'm having to talk over all this. That's at least 4 weeks of like time where someone would have to be off of work or out of their own home staying with us, stuff like that. That's just not really feasible. Everyone has jobs except for my mom. My mom is actually also a stay-at-home mom, but she has 6 kids at home, so she can't just leave all of her 6 kids behind to come stay with me for a month-ish. So like, that's not really something like we can't just like fly someone out to stay with us until the baby's born, because it's just not possible for us. It's just in the moment. We're gonna have to like tell them and just be like, if you make it, you make it. If you don't, we have to have another plan. We have to be able to do something else. There's no guarantees when it comes to birth, like at all. So we can't count on someone being here to watch London because we just don't know. I am not at all comfortable with allowing a stranger to watch my kid. There is so much going on in the background. Yeah. When it comes down to it, if our family does not make it here in time for the birth, that means London would have to stay with us because we have no one else to take her. And if London can't be there, that means that Christopher also can't be there because he would have to take her somewhere else, which would mean that I would be completely by myself giving birth and laboring and everything else, and that just sounds so like stressful and horrible to me. Like, of course I don't want that to happen. No person does. I know that so many people have had to go through it for different circumstances, and I hate that for them. I don't think anyone should have to go through that alone, and I don't want to if I don't have to, because like, he doesn't want to miss the birth of his child. I don't want him to miss the birth of his child. I don't want to be there by myself. I don't want to have to be worried about where London is and what she's doing. Like, just having them there with me is what is going to make me the most comfortable, because I will know that London is okay. I will know that I'm not by myself. I'm not alone. And any other way from that is just going to be so much unnecessary stress on me. And stress, extra stress when you're already in labor is not good on your body. It's not good on the baby. It could cause more complications to come up. If I'm like laying in a hospital bed trying to give birth and trying to have what is supposed to be an amazing experience and what is supposed to be like one of the best days of your life, it's going to be incredibly hard to not have like disappointments and to not hate the circumstances and just end up like not having the best experience. Like, nobody wants that for themselves. I don't want to look back on the birth of my child and just hate what happened, or hate who was there, hate who wasn't there, hate being alone. Like, I don't want to regret anything about the experience, and I don't want to have any bad thoughts about it. I just want it to be a happy day and a happy moment with my family, of course. So I have pretty much covered all of my birthing wishes the best that I can with all these distractions and everything, and it's probably a little all over the place, and I apologize, but hopefully you get the idea. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment below. Subscribe to the channel before you go if you have not already. Turn the post notifications on so you never miss anything. I post Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And, yep, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.